Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Fire Commissioners meeting. This is our regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 18th. The time is 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. Ms. Gomez, would you do the roll call for us, please?
Woods Gray,
Here.
Babcock,
Here.
Hara,
Here.
Fire Chief Crawley,
Here.
and Deputy City Attorney Linda Nguyen.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Chief Crowley, would you do us the honor of doing the flag salute in the moment of silence at this time?
Stand, please. Hand over heart. Ready to begin. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing in a moment of silence in honor of our past and present members of the Los Angeles Fire Department who devote their lives to the protection of the community. Also, the LAFD would like to honor and remember our active duty firefighter Brian Corntassel, who passed away on April 4th. Thank you, everyone.
Very good. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is item number 1, commission comments. Commissioners, you have comments?
No.
Do you have comments? Dr. Hurd?
Okay, this past weekend, I attended the girls' camp,
Oh, good.
and as usual, it was a great event, and Tim McCosker, it turns out he comes from a firefighter family, and I know Monica Rodriguez likewise. Her dad was a firefighter, so as usual, great event.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, Tim McOsker comes from a fire tradition. He was the only one in the family who became an attorney. And we are maybe lucky, I heard his daughter is coming too, so that's really great. We'll have another generation of McOskers, a female. That's really great. Okay, very good. We'll move next to the next item, item 2, the report of the fire chief.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to be reporting on my meetings and events from April 4th to April 17th. So April 5th to the 6th, I attended a Fire Scope Board of Directors meeting. I just wanted to give a small sample of a few of the agenda items that we spoke about, but this is always a fantastic opportunity to get together with a variety of fire service leaders in the state of California. We discussed a number of topics. Some of them were the fire service legislation updates, national mutual aid system. We also discussed a hazmat team staffing, predictive services, decision support updates, radio communication guidelines, white papers on behavioral health needs for the fire service retirees and updates on that. Also a white paper with challenges and solutions to implementing fire service cancer prevention. Like I said, another large array of agenda items, but those were some very interesting topics, and we'll continue to work with the fire service leaders. On April 14th, also attended the Metro Best Practices Task Group meeting. That was a virtual meeting. This was on a national level, where we came together and discussed diversity, equity, inclusion strategies across the nation. So that was a wonderful meeting, and interesting enough, the fire service as a whole is moving in that direction for all the right reasons. So that was a wonderful meeting to attend. April 15th and 16th with Dr. Hara, I did attend the girls' camp, had the opportunity to kick it off and also do the closing ceremonies. We had 43 campers. I'd love to give all the accolades to our staff who's behind these camps. The youth development program is going really, really strong. So like I said, 43 campers ranging in age from 14 to 18 years old. The majority of the campers actually live in the city, and they're spread also throughout the county, but it was a really, really wonderful time to give them a snapshot of what it's like to be a firefighter. We had volunteers, majority of them from the LAFD, which was really amazing, as well as our male and female firefighters. So it was a mixed group. I think all of our members are really, really seeing the magic of what happens at those girls' camps. And just to look at the statistics a little bit deeper, we did, like I said, have the majority of our campers from the city of LA, Los Angeles itself. We had campers from Northridge, San Pedro, Torrance, Van Nuys, Wilmington, and then it even spread out from Anaheim, Camarillo, Carson, Garden Grove, Glendora, Huntington Park, Inglewood, Lomita, Long Beach. So we had a wide array of variety of individuals who wanted to be part of something special.
That's
So
great.
our goal was to plant the seed, and I think that our staff did an amazing job over the 2-day camp. April 17th, had the opportunity to work with UFLAC's leadership, President Escobar, and we filmed a MDA Fill the Boot video. And I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of background on that. This next week, that's when we are going to have our Fill the Boot campaign. It's on April 26, 27, and 28. As I was doing a little bit of my research, this is the right thing to do, and we're going to continue to do it. We're going to partner with the International Association of Firefighters and our United Firefighters of Los Angeles City, our local 112. And since its inception, actually it's from 1954, which I thought was really interesting, and that's where firefighters from across the country have collectively come together and brought in funds to help the community of the MDA. So that's the muscular or neuromuscular disease, in which we're happy to be a part of that next week. So we're looking forward to seeing what we can raise for a wonderful event, and we'll continue to go in that direction. Last night, also had the honor to be part of and witness our State of the City from Mayor Bass, where she shared her vision for a new Los Angeles. And it was an honor to be there to represent and attend, and I'm always honored to represent the LAFD. And that's the end of my report.
Very good. Thank you very much. I also attended the speech by the mayor's State of the City, and it was exciting to hear her support for the LAFD. And that was good. And she had the chief stand up so everybody could see her. That was really good. Will we see firefighters at intersections with boots?
That is the game plan. We have all the logistics set up. We're working real closely with UFLAC, and the main thing, we want to make sure we're keeping our firefighters safe.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to work very closely with UFLAC, and yeah, it's going to kick off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week.
Okay, very good. We'll look forward to that. And I also want to thank the volunteers who work with the camp, because that's many hours that they volunteer, and I have attended the camp before, and it's just exciting to see some of the young ladies out there, female people, working and thinking and practicing, and to speak to someone who said they were going to be a firefighter many years ago at a girls' camp, and now they're actually going to be a firefighter is so exciting. I can't wait for that to happen, the last step of it at least, because it's really exciting to see that process go from a girls' camp, and they tell me, I'm going to be a firefighter. And I said, oh, wonderful, I'm excited about that. And then to see them move, all the way in through now into the recruitment area, is the training session. It's going to be very exciting that day. The fire service ledge. Do we have someone in our department that monitors legislation?
We do. We've got staff that does look at that, and we always work together to figure out, well, how can we move certain legislation forward with support. So our planning staff is the one that looks into legislation. And actually, the mayor's office has staff that shares that information with us at a high level.
It would be nice for the commission to hear, I think, what legislation, because from time to time I get bits and pieces of something that's going to be good for firefighters, but it also could be good for all unions.
Right, and we do work closely.
But I do see bits and pieces, but it would be nice to see a report on it, if we could
Sure, we can do that.
have one. Okay, very good. Thank you very much for all that you do. Your involvement out there is very valuable for everyone to see. Okay, the next item on the agenda is significant incidents, and Chief Legal is going to do that. Good morning, Chief Legal.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Crowley, staff. My name is Philip Flegel. I'm the Operations Central Bureau Deputy Chief, and I have three significant incidents to share with you over the last period here. The first one occurred on April 10th, 2023 at 16:58 hours in the afternoon in Fire Station 11's first in. It was a greater alarm structure fire in the 2700 block of Wilshire Boulevard. LAFD Resources responded to reported structure fire, and upon arriving found a two-story commercial building with smoke showing on the second floor. Firefighters deployed offensive mode and employed aggressive attack to contain the fire in the area of origin. Additional resources also assisted with search and ventilation, and a knockdown was achieved in 20 minutes. Currently, the fire is under investigation. There are no injuries to civilians or LAFD personnel. We had 12 fire companies on scene, 4 rescue ambulances, and 1 EMS captain with 2 battalion commanders on scene of that incident. On April 6th, 2023, at close to midnight, late night, in Fire Station 17's first in, Council District 12, another greater alarm structure fire in the 2800 block of 11th Street. LAFD Resources were responding to reported structure fire, and upon arriving found a well-involved one-story commercial building at the site of a previous burn that was also exposing 2 other commercial buildings. Resources were deployed in a defensive mode with the protection of the exposure occupancies and knocked down a bulk of the fire within rapid succession with coordinated attack with assisting with protecting the exposures. Knockdown was achieved in 33 minutes. The fire is currently under investigation, and we had a total of 17 fire companies and 2 paramedic RAs and 2 battalion command teams were assigned to that incident. And finally, on April 6th, 2023, at 8:15 in the evening, Fire Station 11's first in, Council District Number 1, in the 1500 block of Canterbury Street. LAFD Resources responded and arrived to find a tree involved, exposing a two-story floorplex. Resources were deployed in an offensive mode. Fire attack, roof division, and Division 2 were assigned to rapidly extinguish the fire. Salvage was also prioritized within this deployment. In the process, 37 tenants were displaced, but there were no injuries to those tenants. There are 14 LAFD resources that were assigned there, along with 6 rescue ambulances, with 2 battalion command teams and 1 assistant bureau commander was on scene directing the incident. And one thing I want to note about this fire is initially we had 37 people that were displaced from this incident. But through our recovery efforts and part of the strategic plan, goal number 7, by enhancing community resilience, disaster recovery capabilities, and environmental sustainability, we deployed a recovery plan with try to prioritize these people to get them into housing and get them into shelter while the incident was concluded until they get to proper shelter in the few coming days. So along with Central Bureau, the Emergency Management Department, and also with Red Cross, we only managed to get those down to approximately 7 people that were displaced, got them to where they needed to be, and got them to their next step while we recovered with their occupancies that they had there. That's it for my report, unless you have any other questions.
Commissioners, you have any questions? Thank you, Chief Legal.
Thank you.
You pointed out the fact that the fire department does many things. They just don't put the fire out and leave people abandon the victims. Thank you very much for that, all the services that you do, because that's very valuable to people, and I know they feel very comfortable knowing somebody's going to look out for them when the house is on fire and what am I going to do? That's wonderful. Thank you for stepping in and doing more.
Yes, ma'am. And just again, that's something I think in the last 8 years we've done a really good job at. Is we've talked about this several times about, we put the fire out, we drive away, and we have people sitting in the streets. So we've bridged that gap to make sure that we're not leaving them in the streets, making sure they get to the next place, the next step on the recovery, and hopefully bridging that for them through other department agencies and also the resources available to us. Thank you.
Very good. That shows growth.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for pointing that out. Thank you. Very, very good. I just saw someone walk in who I want to acknowledge. Our Deputy Mayor in charge of Public Safety, Brian Williams. Welcome to our meeting.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Would you like to say something?
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure. We're inclusive over here. Okay. The next is Chief Dixon. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. I have two items for you, one left on item B, and then I have C as well, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good morning, Tyler Dixon, Assistant Chief, Los Angeles Fire Department assigned to the EMS Bureau. Good morning, Madam President. Good morning, Commissioners, Fire Chief Crowley, Deputy City Attorney Nguyen, honored guests and command staff. In temporarily covering Operation Valley Bureau this last week, Valley Bureau companies responded in the early morning hours on the 12th of April to a reported structure fire. The first arriving company, which arrived in 4 minutes, found a 2-story, 15,000 square foot office building with heavy smoke showing from the second floor. In totality, 13 fire companies responded to this incident, deploying an offensive mode where firefighters deployed hand lines to the second floor via an exterior stairwell and coordinated an interior attack with truck companies on the roof performing coordinated ventilation efforts. This was a particularly challenging fire due to the high heat and heavy smoke, making conditions on the second floor difficult for firefighters to navigate. However, they persevered, deploying hand lines, using the ventilation techniques of the truck company to allow the company to progress and extinguish the fire in over 1 hour, a little over 1 hour. Luckily,
great.
no firefighter injuries were reported, and firefighters were able to contain this fire to the second floor, protecting additional properties nearby.
That's
With
great.
that, ma'am, I have 2C as well, unless you have questions for item B.
I know, I always appreciate how you demonstrate the skills of our firefighters when they go out. They always manage to, regardless of what the task is, they are so well trained that they know how to maneuver and manipulate and do things out of the ordinary, and always helping to save lives and property and keeping themselves safe. That's really great. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner, did you have any? No. Okay, Chief, go on with your next report.
Okay. Item 2C is covering emergency medical activities for the period of April 4th through April 17th. In the late evening hours of April 5th, companies in the West Bureau in the Pacific Palisades area were dispatched to reports of several cars over the side of the cliff off of the Pacific Coast Highway. First arriving companies surveyed the area and determined that there were several vehicles involved in a traffic accident, which did indeed involve 2 vehicles being pushed over the side of the cliff onto the beach below. Luckily, due to low tides, the cars were not submerged in the ocean, and firefighters were able to access via ground, working in coordination with the LA County Lifeguard Service, several patients. In totality, firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics from the Los Angeles Fire Department were able to quickly search, locate, triage, and treat a total of 7 patients. Wow. 1 patient, unfortunately, was determined deceased at the scene. However, 6 additional patients were rushed to local trauma centers in a timely manner by your LAFD paramedics and EMTs. This is an example of a highly complex and challenging incident spread over several areas that needed access from multiple companies. Multiple companies were coordinated under the command of Battalion 4 and utilized search techniques after hours, utilizing urban search and rescue techniques as well as emergency medical services. On the 8th of April, companies responded again in the, on the 5th of April, companies in the West LA area, Engine 43 and Rescue 62, responded to an elderly gentleman at work who was complaining of feeling ill. Companies responded in a timely manner and performed a rapid assessment of this patient, determining that he had a low heart rate, low blood pressure, and signs of poor perfusion. They quickly provided advanced cardiac life support, including determining an electrocardiogram indicating a ST elevation myocardial infarction. This is a deadly situation that requires rapid intervention from a specialty center. Paramedics were able to rapidly transport this individual to an appropriate receiving facility that had specialty equipment, including an ECMO program. Unfortunately, en route to the hospital, the patient became unresponsive and went into cardiac arrest. Fortunately, paramedics were able to seamlessly apply advanced cardiac life support, including CPR and advanced cardiac medication. They delivered the patient in a condition that was viable for a procedure called an ECMO. ECMO is a form of life support that is provided to life-threatening illnesses that cause injury to heart or lungs. This patient was fortunate enough to have astute paramedics recognize this life-threatening condition, recognize the need for this specialty center, and get this patient to the specialty center in a timely manner, coordinating with hospital resources. Another fine example of the thousands of patients that your paramedics and EMTs, advanced providers, have provided care for over the last 2 weeks.
Thank you very much for sharing, again, the skills of our well-trained paramedics and firefighters. Commissioners, you have any comments or questions for Chief Tyler Dixon?
Ma'am, if I may, as part of 2C, I have another development in the emergency medical side of the fire department. Previously, this commission had approved a contract for a new medical director for Los Angeles Fire Department, and we're lucky enough to have Dr. Cohen here this morning. If the commission would like to hear a little bit, to refresh your memory about Dr. Cohen, and he's here to meet you this morning, if that's okay, ma'am.
Oh, certainly. We want to meet him.
Okay.
Where's Dr. Cohen?
So,
Okay.
Dr.
Good morning,
Cohen's here.
Dr. Cohen.
He's Dr. Cohen is a Stanford University Medical School trained physician. He holds dual board certifications in from the American Board of Emergency Medicine in emergency medicine and emergency medical services. He has over 20 years of experience as an emergency medicine physician, including serving as an attending physician at UCLA Medical School clinical faculty member, paramedic school director, base station hospital director, fire department-based EMS medical director, and a nurse practitioner response unit medical director prior to joining us here at the Los Angeles Fire Department. Dr. Cohen's vast experience with the Los Angeles County EMS system, serving on several committees and councils with the Los Angeles County Department of Health Services local EMS agency, has uniquely positioned him to immediately step in and become a valued contributor to the leadership team here in the Los Angeles Fire Department and help us in our efforts to elevate emergency medical services. I'd like to introduce Dr. Mark Cohen to you.
Okay, very good. Welcome, Dr. Cohen.
Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners, in the words of our esteemed Deputy Mayor, good morning. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, pleasure to be part of the LAFD. As Chief Dixon mentioned, I've been involved in EMS for probably near 15, 20 years at this time. I work with cities of Torrance, El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, and Beverly Hills, and I'm privileged to come on an interim basis with LAFD. Look forward to working with you, working with the department, and making us, again, the premier EMS provider in the country.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. With all your experiences, we are really happy to have you as a part of our team because it took us a little while to find the right person. But it sounds like they did a great job in the department, and they found someone who has many experiences that will be valuable to our staff and to the city. So welcome, and we look forward to having a complete report from you on your department once you get your feet wet. And, we'll give you time, a few minutes,
I appreciate that.
before you start making reports to us. But our last medical director made regular reports to us, and so we'll let you ease in here. But we do look forward to hearing more from you. And again, we welcome you. Did you work at UCLA Harbor?
Yes, that's where I did my training, and I've been on the clinical faculty there for quite some time.
Oh, okay. In what department?
In the emergency room.
In the emergency room. Okay, very good. Okay, commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you again. Thanks, Chief Dixon. Thanks for your report, and thanks for introducing the medical director.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Okay, we have no presentations. We're at item number 4, which is public comment. I have 2 public comment cards. First, I'll have Chang Ho. You have 2 items that you wish to speak on? Yes, ma'am. Okay, very good. You have 2 minutes, one for each item.
Gotcha. I'll try to speed this along. Good morning, Madam President, Board of Fire Commission, Fire Chief Crowley, City Attorney, and staff. My name is Chung Ho. I'm the first Vice President of United Firefighters of Los Angeles City, Local 112. I'm here today to talk about the department's response to the independent assessor's audit of 2021 complaints and misconduct. In this response, goal 2 of the department is to increase PSD staffing so that they can hold multiple boards of rights at the same time. I'd like to just let everybody know that UFLAC represents the majority of these members in these boards of rights hearings. There's only 10 of us on the board that represents these members in their hearings. It would be impossible for us basically to be everywhere and prepare for boards of rights if they're all occurring, or a good portion of them are all occurring at the same time. The Firefighter Bill of Rights provides that each member is entitled to a rep of his choice, a representative of his choice in these hearings. If multiple board of rights were going on at the same time, again, we couldn't attend multiple. If, for example, I represent multiple members, which I often do, and 2 of the members I represent have boards of rights hearing on the same week, well, one of them is not going to get the rep of their choice. They're going to have to get somebody else that they don't know quite as well, they're not as comfortable. So impeding on this right provided by the Board of Rights, I think, would be a shame. I don't think I need to speak to this group about the staffing crisis that we've experienced in the last few years. The men and women of the Los Angeles Fire Department are working 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row. When it's time for them to go home, they're being told, hey, sorry, you're not going home today, you're being forced to work. I think we're doing a good job. We need to continue to do a better job. May I go on?
Yes, finish your
Thank you.
thoughts.
To continue to do a better job of staffing the fire department so that we can provide relief to the people out in the field. I think staffing PSD does not help the members out in the field. If I can also touch quickly on goal number 3, the department's response letter talks about the cooperation with UFLAC and efforts to reach settlement. Yes, we are working with the fire department. We are working with PSD. I think we have made good progress in settling a handful of cases. I've enjoyed, and I pay kudos to Chief Brown and Chief Kepner for helping get us to where we need to be. That being said, I think we can go further in settlement, apply education-based discipline to more cases, to more of our fact patterns that come out of the fire department. UFLAC will always advocate for education-based discipline over some system that is more punitive in nature, because education-based discipline allows our members to learn from their mistakes, while at the same time keeping them in the field where they are so desperately needed. Every member taken out of the field puts our city in a more vulnerable state. So in sum, I'd like to continue to work with the fire department. We would like to continue to work with the fire department to settle a lot of these discipline cases, but with more application of education-based discipline. Let's train our members so that they can continue to improve and be valuable members of the fire department. Thank you, and thank you for giving me that additional time.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, very good. We move on to the next speaker. We have Richard Ramirez from, you're with UFLAC also.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Welcome. You're back the second time.
Yes,
Well,
How are you?
very good.
good. Good morning, everybody, chiefs, everyone in the room. I'd just like to speak on public comment.
You have 1 minute. Thank you.
I want to bring up a few things that we're experiencing out in the field. First, supplies. Our members, like our doc and chief over here, Dixon, are talking about EMS. We're not getting the proper supplies out there in the field. EMS gloves, EKG pads, BVMs, you name it, the basics to provide the citizens that they need. we're running very, very low. And I just would like to request some kind of answer of when we can expect our orders to be filled at least to above 50%, because we are doing our F80s, which is the form we fill in once a month, and we're not getting those. So we're basically scavenging at other fire stations, battalions, bureaus, to get what we need. So I just want that to be brought up. Also, a supply issue on our PPEs. Our PPEs, our rookies are not coming out with 2 sets of PPEs. You know, we're drilling, we're practicing, we're constantly trying to get them up to speed, and they're sweating in these things nonstop, and they're starting to get some skin rashes. May I finish?
Just
ma'am?
wrap up your sentence.
Okay, they're starting to get some skin rashes and also some, they're not being properly placed in the field with VOSs, which helps our amplify our voice when we have a face piece on and full encapsulated. So I'd
Okay.
like to see some, if someone could look into that for us, please.
Thank you very much for sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. We appreciate all the comments because the field is where we need to get the comments from. We don't really hear, we don't know all the time what's happening out there, so thank you for sharing that with us, and we will look into that. Okay, now, the next item on our agenda, that is the end of public comment. There are no more cards. Thank you very much. We're moving to item 5, consent agenda items. Are there any questions or concerns about the consent agenda items from the commissioners?
Yeah, just on item 5A, in terms, it's all very well laid out. In terms of reimbursement and when we go after those costs.
You have a
and
question
firefight-
about it?
Yeah, just I know, costs and money always seems to
Okay,
be,
we'll
our
set
big-
that one aside, and then
Okay.
so if there are no questions on the others, if there's a motion to approve, we can go back and do that one.
Okay, motion to approve. I was going to have the question on 5A, but 5A through D.
No, B, C, and D, the ones that you did.
Oh, I'm sorry, BC, a motion to approve items
B, C, and
5B, C, and D.
Okay,
Second.
so it's been moved and second that we approve items on the consent agenda, B, C, and D. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Now we'll move back to A. Who is the staff person for that, madam?
That'll be Chief Perez, Chief of Staff.
Chief Perez, okay.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Chief Perez.
Good morning. I'm David Perez, Deputy Chief and Chief of Staff of the Fire Department. I'm here to speak on item 5A. And
Yeah, so the question just is, I see that obviously the entire, almost Angeles forest borders our city, so it makes sense to have this mutual aid agreement. But just in terms of reimbursement of costs when we have our firefighters going out there, what's the time in turnaround to get that back to LA City? Is it a,
it is a slow process.
Okay.
This is an automatic aid agreement versus
Right.
a mutual aid agreement. There's a slight differentiation there.
automatic? Okay.
In
thank
that
you for pointing
automatic
out.
aid is done without question. So in other words, if
Got
a
it.
fire occurs at a certain point within the interface between the Angeles National Forest and the city of LA, they don't make an official request to us to send resources. We automatically send because of the location of the fire versus mutual aid, which is through a formal request.
Got it, okay, yes, thank you.
The reimbursement process, though, is the same.
Sure.
After the first 12 hours, generally speaking, in most mutual aid agreements and automatic aid agreements, the first 12 hours is at no cost to the
Okay.
requesting agency. If it goes to 12 hours and 1 minute, then we're reimbursed for the entire time all the way back from the initial dispatch. We will submit a request for reimbursement at the end of the incident or shortly thereafter. And it's just really, in the case of A&F, it depends on the federal reimbursement cycle. So sometimes we get the reimbursement back fairly quickly. Sometimes it can take 6 to 8 months to get the
wow.
reimbursement back. So oftentimes it goes into the next fiscal year before we see the money come back.
Is there a large sum of money out there that's still waiting to be recovered, or?
I don't know about this fiscal year. If there's any outstanding monies, I don't know that.
Okay, thank you, appreciate
And
that.
when you get the reimbursement, it goes to the general fund, right?
Yes, ma'am. But there are funding mechanisms in place that keep the fire department solvent. So we're not running into a deficit based on money spent in a previous fiscal year.
Got it. And then in terms of those firefighters that are part of that automatic aid, it tends to be the fire stations, I assume, that are bordering the Angeles Forest.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Any other questions?
No,
Okay.
motion to approve item 5A.
Okay.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the board approve the report and recommendations for item 5A. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Okay, so the whole consent agenda has been approved. The next item is item 6, the regular agenda items. First item on the agenda is A, BFC 23-037. It's a response to the independent assessor's audit of 2021. And good morning, Chief Kepner.
Good morning. Good morning, President Woods Gray, Vice President Hara, Commissioner Babcock, City Attorney Nguyen, Chief Crowley, and Leticia. My name is Christina Kepner, and I am the Assistant Chief assigned to the Professional Standards Division. Today, I will be presenting the response to the Independent Assessor's Audit of 2021 Annual Review of LAFD's Handling of Complaints of Misconduct. In October of 2022, the Independent Assessor presented her audit of discipline cases filed and closed in the LAFD's complaint tracking system in 2021. The audit included a year-end review of complaints against LAFD employees, status of sustained cases, and information related to cases pending a Board of Rights hearing. As a result of the number of cases pending a Board of Rights, the report specifically emphasized one recommendation to the department, that the department must immediately and urgently address the backlog of Board of Rights hearings. The recommendation stated, the department must address the backlog of Board of Rights hearings with urgency and effective and permanent measure. The Office of the Independent Assessor continues to recommend that the department establish a timeframe for selecting members' Board of Rights, and that the department begin following Charter Section 1060B2 and temporarily relieve members from duty for the length of their suspension when they request a hearing before a Board of Rights. The department must develop and present a comprehensive plan to the Board of Fire Commissioners for addressing this issue, and that's what I am here today to do. The department concurred with the recommendation, and PSD developed a comprehensive plan to address the backlog of pending Board of Rights. In alignment with goal number 4, strategy 4 of the new LAFD 2023 to 2026 strategic plan to maintain a culture of service, professionalism, and accountability, PSD has created a culture of accountability, including establishing strategic goals to address the independent assessor's recommendations. Goal number 1, create a Board of Rights settlement unit to focus exclusively on Board of Rights hearings and settlement agreements. PSD created a Board of Rights settlement unit to focus solely on conducting Board of Rights and writing settlement agreements. The unit consists of one fire special investigator, Valerie Ross, one captain advocate, Captain Wilcox, and a detailed captain, Captain Silverman, who are overseeing and managing all functions of the Board of Rights hearings. They are also currently using PSD investigators and captain advocates to assist with the presentation of evidence and witness testimony. Goal number 2 was to increase PSD staffing and budget to provide for conducting multiple Board of Rights hearings simultaneously. In order to keep up with the increasing caseload of our investigators and conduct simultaneous Board of Rights, additional staffing was requested for the fiscal year 2022-23 budget. 3 new investigator positions and 1 battalion chief were approved beginning January 1st, 2023. For the new fire special investigators, we have completed interviews, backgrounds, and job offers have been made this week. The PSD budget was also increased for contractual services and court reporters, as well as upgrading the complaint tracking system, which we are working with Sam and his team in doing so now. Additionally, 2 targeted local hire administrative clerk positions were requested and approved to provide clerical and administrative support for the Board of Rights hearings, and we are waiting on them hopefully in the new fiscal year. Goal number 3 was to collaborate with UFLAC to reach settlement agreements in recommended pending Board of Rights cases. As Chung Ho said, PSD has built a strong collaborative relationship with UFLAC to ensure a fair process for the members throughout the disciplinary process, while also ensuring accountability to correct behavior. With the addition of education-based discipline for EMS policy violations, as well as off-duty misconduct, we are able to settle many cases prior to the Board of Rights hearings. The department and UFLAC have settled 9 cases since the independent assessor's report. And goal number 4 is to provide and memorialize Board of Rights training for all chief officers. Chief officers may be called upon at any moment to sit on a Board of Rights. The department identified a gap in training for these chief officers to be proficient board members. In collaboration with the City Attorney's Office, PSD provided basic Board of Rights training for all LAFD chief officers. Additionally, we are currently working on on video training with Training and Support Bureau and MySafe LA that will be memorialized in Target Solutions for members to view at any time. The revision and updates to the Board of Rights script and a shared Google Drive with all relevant Board of Rights documents was also developed for chief officers to use once they get selected. Finally, PSD met with the City Attorney's Office to discuss the possibility of having an assigned city attorney to assist PSD utilizing their experience when conducting Board of Rights hearings. In regards to the recommendation by the independent assessor to establish a time frame for selecting members' Board of Rights, the current statutory authority does not require a hearing timeline. However, PSD did draft a written policy, and will continue to meet and discuss with UFLAC. I would now just like to highlight a few of the accomplishments that the department and PSD have made in response to the independent assessor's recommendations and our strategic goals. We have conducted 5 Board of Rights hearings and are in various stages with an additional 3. Your report will say 4, but since then, we've concluded an additional Board of Rights. We've reduced pending Board of Rights from 83 to 45, plus the 10 vaccine mandate boards, for a total of 55. 18 members have rescinded their Board of Rights requests and accepted their discipline. 6 members retired in lieu of going to a Board of Rights. 2 members were terminated at Board of Rights. You'll see that number has increased since this was submitted. PSD negotiated and is working on the completion of 9 settlement agreements with UFLAC. And those are just some of the accomplishments of our members at PSD. The department has already made significant improvements in the handling of pending Board of Rights. PSD will continue to work diligently to accomplish our strategic goals of increasing staffing, providing training for chief officers, and working with labor on settlement agreements. What I won't be able to clearly articulate today is the number of hours put in by our BCs, captains, investigators, and clerical staff that it has taken to accomplish these goals. I know Chung also mentioned the amount of hours it takes his team, and equally I can concur. PSD staff has worked tirelessly for several months now, working after hours and on weekends to prepare for the Board of Rights. There's a minimum of 120 hours of prep time and 20 to 30 hours of witness prep that goes into each one, including developing response to motions, creating exhibits, researching administrative law, scheduling witnesses, and developing opening and closing statements. I just wanted to mention this and thank all of the staff at PSD for their diligence and hard work, and specifically to stay true to the mission focused and accomplish the fire chief's goals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the report. Congratulations on the accomplishments of the department. Do you have any comments or concerns before I go on?
I don't know if you have the statistics, and I'm not holding anybody against it for now, but I'm just curious, in terms of, I guess, comparatively speaking, are more people going to Board of Rights than usual, or are we doing more in the field to decrease that number, I should say? Is there
Yeah, we've actually had less requests for Board of Rights recently, with the I guess, intention of progressive engagement in the field. That's definitely helping. I think more training is being done for our captains and our officers to be able to implement progressive engagement, and also us working with UFLAC and the reps prior to the Skelly hearings
has led to people either accepting their discipline or us coming to settlement agreements.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Harper, did you have anything? Okay. In one section, you said you were establishing strategic goals. Are those the goals that you stated at the end, or are there other goals?
Yes, ma'am. The four goals within the report are our 4 strategic goals at PSD.
Oh, okay. And the Border Rights Settlement Unit is fully staffed?
No, right now we are using our FSIs and captain advocates that were normally handling investigations. So we have moved them into the Board of Rights Settlement Unit, but it's not fully staffed. We're using a lot of the investigators who have actually investigated those particular cases to present arguments and assist with the Board of Rights.
Okay. Does that delay other discipline processes?
Yes, it definitely puts us on a tighter time frame to meet our statutes and our regular investigations. And as I stated, we have an increase in caseloads for our investigators, but the 3 investigators that we have coming in should be able to assist with that.
Okay. Another question. The training for the chief officers, is that an ongoing training, or is there a schedule of when the training takes place?
Yeah, nothing scheduled, but it's ongoing. We're still developing the video training. However, after each Board of Rights, we have an after-action review, and we meet with all of the chief officers on the board to obtain information for us on how we could better present information to them prior to being selected for a Board of Rights, and what we could do better at PSD to make things more clear.
Okay. So all chief officers will receive this training?
All chief officers received an initial training from the city attorney's office as well as PSD. However, not all chief officers will be selected for a Board of Rights. So often, if you're trained and you're not selected, or you're not consistently trained, it's not something that stays with you. So our goal is, once a member is selected, we provide more one-on-one training with the boards, and that's why we created the Google Drive with all of the documents that they could need for the Board of Rights. And we have, right now, Captain Silverman assisting as the Sergeant of Arms in many of our boards to be able to get them the information they need and any training they need before the board begins.
Okay, thank you. I like the idea of a city attorney sitting in on the PSD, Board of Rights. What is the status of that at this time?
I have not heard back yet from Carlos de la Huera. I don't know if the fire chief has, but we did have an in-person meeting with him and went over kind of all of the documents and reasons why it would be beneficial for us, and he seemed to be in agreement with that, but I have not heard back from him.
If I may, Madam President, so we did meet with the city attorney and identified a number of gaps. So we're in the infancy stages of that to see if they can support us in that effort, but we have seen an increase in response when we ask for assistance. So that's a positive move forward. In regard to the training, we see it as almost like a multi-tiered approach, from all chief officers having that general knowledge. Then once they're selected, that's when we do a deeper dive in additional training. And it's going to be an ongoing effort because the reality that our chief officers are at some point going to be selected for a Board of Rights is a reality. We've also asked, and this has worked well over the past few months, of individual chief officers who have been part of boards have offered themselves as mentors as well to stay in an appropriate lane, just to ensure that they're offering mentorship to current boards if they've never been part of that. So it's a multi-tiered approach.
Okay, very good. Thanks. When you talk about the timeline, the hearing timeline, they said current statute doesn't allow you to do, is it the charter or the Bill of Rights?
The charter, we don't, doesn't necessarily allow us to set a timeline. However, we've come up with an internal policy that eventually we'd like to get to. However, we have to get through some of the backlogs first before we can actually set the timeline. We're looking at potentially 120 days to pull a Board of Rights when someone requests it, or if it's department directed. But until we get through more of the backlogs, that would not be easily done.
Okay, very good. The PSD comprehensive plan, have we seen that?
No, ma'am. This is pretty much the goals and our plan is what
This
I
is it.
submitted today.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what that was. Okay. Some of the boards of rights and some of the PSD charges have such long dates. Do we know how far back these charges go? And how are the ones that you handle the most recent, are the ones that were the first ones filed? Because that's been my problem with PSD, is that everything takes too long, and by the time you get to it, it's who remembers?
Yes, no, I concur, and we've actually been doing a mix of both. Some of the oldest cases, as well as some of the newest, more significant cases, so that we can, hold people accountable now at the time of the incident, as well as getting through the backlog of older cases. I will say we've cleaned up a lot of the older cases. I know we had some from 2014, 2015, 2017. And we only have a couple more of those cases left, and then a majority of them are from 2020 forward.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good to hear, because there was a backlog. And I do appreciate the fact that the chief is working on making these improvements as we go through this process, because we've all had a complaint about PSD for many years, and to finally see that something is actually being done about it to help to improve the process, working with UFLAC, is good. My last final question, I think, is the timeline for the completion of the implementation of the 1060B-2.
Yes, I know, I believe that is on the fire chief's agenda coming up to discuss with UFLAC at some point here in the near future.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and we can report back once we have that conversation with UFLAC, and we'll report back.
Oh, okay. There was a discrepancy between the cases, the number of cases, and so I was wanting to make the request that we have the independent assessor take this report, go through it, look over what they provided us, and report back to us on what he sees, if there's any conflicts, because there were a lot more cases, it seemed, than we have here. And so if I would request that the independent assessor look at the report and then report back to us any conflicts or discrepancies or concerns that he finds with this report. But thank you very much, Chief Kavanaugh. It's always good to see you.
Yes, you too.
And thank you for all the work that you do. And I know that if you're doing the work, it's in good hands. So thank you very much. I really appreciate the effort that you put forth and your department. Commissioners, you have any other further questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much. And we'll get that report back on that particular issue, because I think that would help also with that department, the 1060 issue, short issue. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Chief Kavanaugh. Have a good day. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Item A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we receive and file BFC 23-037. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to the last item on the agenda, and that's Chief Kepner too, because that's the one I thought you were doing, but I'm surprised when I saw you before. Chief Kepner, BFC 23-04?
Yes.
Zero.
Good morning again, and for the record, my name is Christina Kepner. I am the Assistant Chief assigned to Professional Standards Division, and I am presenting the corrective action summary for October 1st through December 31st, fourth quarter of last year. We have completed 6 suspensions during this time and 1 settlement agreement from 2015, which resulted in a reprimand served. I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
How does the recommendation from reprimand, 6 days to reprimand, take place?
So it was a settlement agreement made between us and UFLAC, and looking at the time and distance of the actual incident and some past practice of what we've done within that time frame, it resulted in us feeling comfortable giving a reprimand for the comment that was made.
I see. Okay. Commissioners, do you have other comments while I'm looking over my questions here?
I don't think so.
Okay. The medical protocol that wasn't followed, all of those people received training following this procedure.
Correct. These members receive immediate training now. Once a policy violation is identified, we work very closely with EMS Bureau Chief Dixon, and when we get a case in that is a policy violation of an EMS nature, we will let them know, and they will immediately provide training and counseling for whatever the violation was. And then in turn, we proceed with our investigation and whatever discipline comes of that.
Okay, very good, because I noticed that the majority of the offenses were because of that, the medical protocol not being followed. I look at the improper remarks, abusive language, gestures directed to a fellow department member, and then I look at the settlement at the bottom. So it's really difficult always to figure out how the corrections are meted out. And I know you say, but you look at past practices, but seemingly they fit into the same category, yet one was reprimanded and the other, not that I support reprimand for such activity, but it just was, I'm always looking at the consistency of the corrections.
Right, so there's a wide variety of actions or behaviors that can take place within a specific category. Obviously, I can't disclose exactly what those actions were here today, but I will say the ones where the member got 4 days off were more egregious than the action where the member settled for a reprimand.
I see.
So I think because there's such a wide range of behaviors and that could take place in each of these categories, we have to look at it and base it on our penalty guidelines specifically to that, go down our matrix and come to these conclusions.
Very good. Thank you very much. I remember in past times we had asked that if we could list the number of times this particular individual might have been in the system, and I think we asked for ethnicity.
We can look at that. If that's something, you're saying that's something that was requested?
We had
or that
requested that to be on this chart, and I see the chart has more space on it now. Whoever set it up has a little more space. They could add, on the comments, it could be a little different. Anyway, yes, before it was something about the space, and yeah, we had asked for those 2 items. So
we
if we
can
could
add
do
that
that for future, if we could look at that. Okay, thank you very much, Chief Kepner. Commissioners, do you have any other questions or concerns for the chief?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved?
Second.
It's been moved and second that we receive and file BFC 23-040. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Thank you very much. That is the last item on our agenda. However, I would like to offer my condolences to the department and to the family. I was not aware of the passing of this firefighter. Maybe we could get a notice or something so we would know. But my condolences go out to the department and the family for the passing of a working firefighter. That's a very sad thing for us to lose. Are there any other comments? Okay, very good. Seeing no other comments, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. Thank you very much. Thank you to the audience and to all of our visitors. We'll see you in a few weeks.